See, you're not going to transcend hate by hating some more. You transcend hate by realizing that everything is love, including hate. Once your love extends even to hate, then you have transcended hate. But Leo, you're making a mockery of God. Here you are talking about God, saying that God loves evildoers. No. You're making a mockery of God by saying that God hates any aspect of itself. How weak is your God if your God needs to hate anything? Hatred is a hallmark of low consciousness activity. So you would have God be some low consciousness being? You see, if you had your way, you would have God be a devil. Of course, in your image. You know, there's this quote that I like which says something along the lines of, if triangles had a god, their god would have three sides. Well, if humans had a god, their god would be a devil. That's what your God is. Your God is a devil. If your God hates, your God is a devil, not real God. Real God doesn't hate. Real God is infinite love. Real God has infinite self-acceptance and self-love, because how could God hate itself? To hate itself, God would need to be unconscious to certain aspects of itself. It would need to deny aspects of itself. It would need to deny aspects that it created, because it created everything. If it created everything, how could it hate its creation? It's almost like you're asking God to hate its own children. Infinite consciousness means that you're conscious that you're everything, which means that there's nothing other than you, nothing separate from you, nothing which you didn't create. Which means that if you hated some aspect of reality, you would literally be hating yourself, which just would be foolishness. The only way you can hate yourself or some aspect of reality is if you're not conscious of it. But God is infinite consciousness, so it can't hate itself. Self-hatred is only possible at less than infinite consciousness. Here's a universal law number 4 for you. Your love is directly proportional to your level of consciousness. The more conscious you are, the more love you have. The more you accept yourself, the more you accept others, because you recognize that the distinction between yourself and other is imaginary. And so a central aspect of this work that we're doing is we're raising our consciousness, of course, but also we're increasing our self-love and our self-acceptance. And in so doing, we end up loving the whole world. And in this way is how we conquer evil. Evil is not something God created. Evil is something that occurs when your consciousness is less than infinite. So you might wonder, well, why did God create consciousness which is less than infinite? Precisely because infinite consciousness must include all finite aspects of consciousness as well. Infinite consciousness means unlimited consciousness. Unlimited consciousness means limited consciousness. It goes full circle. Love means hatred. The hatred you find in the world is not a counterexample to God's love. It is the very epitome of God's love. It's because God's love is infinite that people hate. You get that? But Leo, isn't that dangerous? This whole conversation, seems like you can just use love to justify any kind of evil you want. You can cheat on your wife, you can beat your wife, you can burn the rainforest, you can drop bombs on people, and it's all for love. Yeah. Love is utterly radical, and love is totally free. That's freedom. What you're running into here now is freedom, absolute freedom. It wouldn't be absolute love unless it was absolute freedom, unless it allowed for evil. See, God is so selfless that he allows you to be as selfish as you want. Love is so inclusive that it includes evil. Love must allow for self-deception. Love must allow for ignorance. Love must allow for selfish justification. Love must allow for devilry. The devil exists precisely because of the magnitude of God's love. That's the paradox. Of course, it must be this way because of the self-reference problem and because of the nature of oneness and non-duality. The nature of infinity. These sorts of paradoxes are the direct result of everything being one. This is what God is. See? It's not a problem for God, but it is a problem for you as a human. So how do you escape this problem? By realizing that you're not really a human, but that you're God. When you realize that you are God, then you escape this whole problem. Because you start to accept everything that you are without judgment, including the devilry, the ignorance, the self-deception, the selfishness, the justifications, all the games that people play. Now you might wonder, but Leo, what is the use of love when it accepts everything? This isn't practical. That's right. Truth goes beyond practicality.